Welcome. What we're going to look at now are planning units, which are used to determine what gets scheduled and how it gets scheduled. To find the planning units using our search feature, we search for planning units and select PrintVis planning units in the menu list. The planning units are tied to our cost centers, departments, and status codes and milestones. If we look at our printing planning unit, there are several items on this page. Under the general, we have our code, in this case printing, as well as the text that is displayed for that planning unit. The planning text, which is the first calculation unit or subcontracting line. The specification, which talks about how this item gets paired together for planning. In the case of our press department and for our printing, it is tied by process and sheet. So if you have a job that's running on multiple stock across different processes or different sheets, it will tie this together based on the sheet number and the process for scheduling purposes. So if you have 4 different sheets that are being produced, each sheet will get scheduled separately. You do have the ability to merge the sheets together if you'd like to run them all as one. But for printing processes, generally you're going to run it as a process and sheet. Calculate estimated time specifies how the time gets calculated. For the most part, you'll want to leave it as add all. And then the status code that this planning unit is tied to. In this case, the planning unit is tied to our printing status code, as well as the sorting order that this shows up in our unit. If the planning unit is canceled or blocked, we select canceled, which prevents it from appearing. We also have the ability to hide this planning unit in the production plan in the case of proofs, or if this is a customer wait or customer proofing, we can create a planning unit so that it gets scheduled for that, but we can hide it in the production plan. The next section is the list of the calculation units that get tied to this planning unit. This is actually set on the cost center card, which we'll take a look at in just a second. But here you can see this is all of our printing machines, as this is the printing planning unit. If your press room is divided up into different areas, you may have planning units for wide format, for offset, for digital, in which case the items that would show up here would be the specific machines for those different areas. If this is a fixed capacity, we have the ability to tie this to a fixed capacity unit, as well as a surcharge unit if we need to tie it to a surcharge unit. Under milestones, we're able to specify whether or not this is a milestone in the system, and we can specify the milestone type. We'll talk more about milestones in a later video. We can also specify whether or not this shows up in the case management list. For rough planning, we are able to specify the amount of time before the next planning unit may start, the number of hours. This is useful in instances where you have to have time for your ink or toner to dry on a press, or varnishes to dry, or glue to dry on a press. You can specify that before it starts in the next area, it has to wait an hour or 2 hours for drying time. We also have the ability to specify our default start and end times for this planning unit. If our press room is only open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., we can specify a start time of 8 a.m. and an end time of 8 p.m., and it will only schedule during those times. In this case, the press room runs 24 hours a day, so we're able to leave that open, and it runs from 12 to 12. In the case of a bottleneck planning setup, we are able to specify how this is set up for bottleneck planning. This is especially useful when it comes to the automated planning and scheduling, so that it knows whether or not it is going to auto plan these items. And then under print control, we have the ability to show these on the job ticket and the quote as well. If we wanted to create a new planning unit, we simply click new, enter in our code, specify how it is planned, process and sheet, add all, status code that we would like it tied to, the sort order, and for now, that's all we need. We will now go take a look at our cost center and see how to add it to our demo planning unit. And there's our demo planning unit.